Alright, what's up guys? My name is Zach and today I am driving a 2014 Buick LaCrosse. Up front is a 3.6 liter V6 and down below is a 6-speed automatic transmission. Now I am super excited to be driving this here LaCrosse for a couple of reasons. First of all, I recently reviewed the first generation LaCrosse as seen here, and now this is the second generation, so I'll be doing a little bit of comparing and contrasting. The second reason is that this gives me an opportunity to talk about Buick, where it's been, where it's going, and my overall thoughts on it. But before we get on to anything else, I have a website, zackpradel.com, where you can buy stickers like this retro sticker pack I have available, or a big friggin' bottle sticker. Both come with free shipping. You could also submit your own vehicle to be reviewed by me through a quick and easy submission form, and you could read my behind the scenes blog to see what I'm filming before it comes out on the channel. But let's get back to that 3.6 liter V6 under the hood, making 303 horsepower. Well, that makes this car no slouch. Now, the 3.6 liter, while back in 2014 it was just starting to get used, since then it has been put into everything. Name a Chevy product, it probably came with this V6 in the last 10 years. 303 horsepower is definitely adequate enough for whatever you want to do in this Buick. Cruising around town, it has that low-end torque. However, you could find these with the 2.4 liter Ecotec engine out of the Pontiac G6. The V6 is really what you want. It's nice, light, and floaty. Like I said, paired to it, 6-speed automatic transmission. Again, around town, nothing spectacular. It's doing what I want. And last but not least, this here LaCrosse is front-wheel drive. However, for this generation, this was the first time that they actually offered all-wheel drive. Now, those models are pretty rare to find, but you can find them nevertheless. With that out of the way, let's talk about the interior. Well, in front of me, I have some physical gauges and a screen. On the left is a physical tachometer. On the right is a physical coolant temperature and fuel gauge. But then in the center, we do get a screen, and you could adjust the settings in there like I'm showing now. You could show a couple different things. GM as a whole is very, very good at giving you lots and lots of information in the vehicles that they drive. This dates back all the way back to the late 90s Corvette, would give you tons of information, and that's no different here in the Buick. On the steering wheel, on the left, I have my cruise control settings, as well as pre-collision warning, my heated steering wheel, voice and phone options. On the right, I have my selectors for that center screen and the gauge cluster we just talked about, as well as volume and skip track. I also get this nice Buick badge in the center. I quite like it. Off to the left, I have my headlight switches, gauge dimmer switches, and my heads-up display control. So this does get a heads-up display showing me my miles per hour up on the windshield, which is very, very nice. Moving on to the door, I get my power mirrors left and right, as well as power windows, power seat memories. I do get some fun buttons up above me, like I do get a garage door opener, actually 3 garage door openers. I do get my sunshade and sunroof operations, but I want to point your attention right here for the rear sunshade. So I can raise and lower a rear sunshade behind the second row of seats, which is just fantastic and a really cool luxury car feature. Moving into the center, I have the lane keep assist on and off, hazard switch, and parking sensors on and off. And then I have my infotainment system. I won't harp on this for too long. This is a very primitive touchscreen infotainment system. Very late 2000s, early 2010s, of course. But it is pretty simple and easy to use. No cool apps or anything, but I do get weather, which is a nice feature, and Pandora is built into it. Although 2014 was the first year we started to see Apple CarPlay in vehicles, Buick didn't offer it quite yet. Down below that, we get our very typical radio controls for power, menu, home, radio, media, back, skip track, things like that, and of course, CD eject. And down below that, we have our climate controls. These are very interesting climate controls. They're like half haptic, half not. So in the center, you have where you want it sent in your fan speed. But then off to the left and right, the passenger and driver get their own climate zones, as well as heated and ventilated seats. And this is also where you'll find the climate controls on and off button. Kind of interesting location. Then I do get a 12-volt outlet and a little cubby. And then we'll come down to the shifter area. Off to the left, we do get the physical shifter. Feels nice when it goes in and out of gear. Putting it into drive, park, reverse, or neutral has a nice satisfying click. And I can plus minus the gears on the left side of the shift knob if I'd like to. Down below that, we have our power parking brake and then the traction control off. And off to the right, we do have cup holders. So we will do a big friggin' bottle test here in the second generation Buick LaCrosse, and unfortunately, it fails. I didn't really expect it to pass. I didn't expect the first gen to pass. The first gen did, in fact, pass the big friggin' bottle test, but unfortunately, the second gen does not. Then we get a center console where the lid sort of slides back and then up, kind of interesting. And in there you'll find USB and a 12-volt outlet. And then we got to talk about the seats. The seats are very comfortable. They are heated, ventilated, and they are power and memory. However, this particular seat fails to go up and down anymore. At only 31,000 miles, the up and down switch seems to have stopped working. I don't know if it's a switch or fuse or something like that, but my head is kind of hitting the ceiling and I have no way to adjust that. I know the seat can go down further, it's just not currently letting me. But speaking of seats, we do have back seats, so let's go do a back seat review. All right, so we're in the back of the 2014 Buick LaCrosse, and honestly, great back seat space. This seat is moved back more than it should be, and I still have plenty of knee room, plenty of headroom, really, really nice back seats. I do get power windows, I get some vents down here, although I don't get my own controls for those vents, and I do get a little center console, 2 cup holders, and a little extra storage cubby in the center. Not very eventful back seats, but this is Buick's full size at the time. They actually switched the LaCrosse from the first generation, was kind of their like mid-size sedan. They actually made it their flagship sedan here for the second generation. And so you get a bunch of space back here, which is very, very nice. Let's hop around back. We'll take a quick look at the trunk and then we'll talk about the looks. All right, so we're on the back of the Buick LaCrosse. I do have a trunk popper, which will pop it all the way up. And as you can see, plenty of space here in the trunk of the Buick LaCrosse. I get this nice little cargo net, but honestly, nothing else really too interesting. Now we gotta talk about the looks, and this is kind of an interesting part of the LaCrosse. This car has slowly grown on me. The more I look at it, the more I like it. But it does tie into my final thoughts. This generation of the LaCrosse was the first LaCrosse to be sold worldwide, mainly here and in China. Now, China did get a first generation LaCrosse. However, it looked significantly different than the LaCrosse we got in the States. Or for my Canadian viewers, the Allure. But here for the second gen, this was the same car sold here and over in China. And the reason I bring that up is because China is the main market for Buick these days. Buick sells way more vehicles in China than they do here. And Buick is such an American name. It is the oldest American manufacturer that we have to date. They recently passed Oldsmobile. Since Oldsmobile went out of business in 2004, Buick was founded in 1903, making it almost 120 years old this year. However, their main focus is now on China. This car was designed in an interesting way. They wanted to bring back the styles of the 1930s, 40s, and 50s Buick. That's why you get a pretty big car. You get the vents up on the hood. You get the big grille. But on the interior, the designer said that there's almost no completely flat lines and no 90-degree angles. And when looking at the interior, that's true. They sort of mixed this new Chinese ideals with the older style of Buick, and that makes a very interesting car. This particular car was built in Kansas. These were still American made for the second generation. But this is where you start to see that transition, where China was becoming the bigger market. In 2014, they were a big market, but here in 2022, they are the market when it comes to Buick vehicles. And so this is my grandparents' car. And I asked my grandpa, why did you buy another Buick? Why do you keep coming back to Buick? I found this photo today. This is from the 1970s. That is a Buick station wagon that my grandparents used to own and drive around, my mom and her siblings. If anyone has any information on what kind of Buick that is, please let me know. I am trying to find one desperately. But when I asked my grandpa, why do you keep coming back to Buick? He said for 2 reasons. First of all, their ride quality, which I fully agree with. This car rides like a dream. This car is very quiet, it's very elegant. And honestly, it's pretty well put together in here too. I don't hear any crazy rattles or noises, beeps or squeaks. But the second reason, he said, is because Buick has always treated him well. Every Buick he had, he's liked. Now, he's almost always been a GM man, besides a Rabbit in the 80s and a Galaxy in the 60s. But he said these cars have always treated him right, and that's why he keeps coming back. But my question comes, with the fact that Buick has one foot out the door in America. They only sell a handful of cars here now, and they're only crossovers. They don't even make the sedan, and we don't even get the LaCrosse here anymore. What's going to happen to that brand reputation? I don't know if the next generation has that sort of brand loyalty. I think the days might be numbered for Buick. And what's interesting is that Buick obviously tried to capitalize that when they designed this car. You have to remember, this is the first Buick LaCrosse designed post-recession here in the United States. This body style started in 2010, where the previous body style started in 2005. So this was Buick trying to remind buyers of the good times. We were just pulling ourselves out of a horrible recession. And Buick came out with this and said, hey, remember when times were good? Remember when cars were big? Remember when you could reward yourself? Here's the Buick LaCrosse. And I personally find that fascinating. This as a car, this is a very good car. It's quiet, it's comfortable, it's easy to drive, easy to see, and quite frankly, easy to love. I just don't know if Buick is going to stick around that much longer. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Huge thank you to my grandparents for letting me take out their Buick. They've supported me all my life in all my endeavors, and I appreciate them supporting me once more with my YouTube career. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys.